2-0, 0-2 start. Gus Frerotte has the Minnesota Vikings looking good. Meanwhile, Dan Orlovsky, this is his first NFL start as he tries to salvage the Detroit Lions. And it's a Week 6 matchup here on Fox Live from the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's the Detroit Lions taking on the Minnesota Vikings. And welcome to the booth, everyone. I'm Ron Pitts. The Detroit Lions are 0-4, and to say they are struggling is an understatement. They have fired the general manager. The head coach is under fire, and Dan Orlovsky will get his first start in the NFL today. And I bring in my partner, Tony Baselli. Tony, for Lions fans, is this start by Dan Orlovsky a good thing, a bad thing? What is it?
I don't know if it's either, but it sure is different. And I guess if you're a Lions fan, you got to be happy about that because what they've been doing isn't working. Not only are they 0-4, but they are 0-4 with huge losses. And talking to the Lions staff, they need a change. They need a spark, something that will change momentum of the direction this team is on. And hopefully Dan Orlovsky can be that guy. But let's not forget, let's not put too much on him. This is his first NFL start, and it's here at the Metrodome, one of the loudest places. Communication's going to be an issue. It's going to be an uphill battle today for the Lions and Dan Orlovsky.
Meanwhile, the Minnesota Vikings are 2-3, a huge win for them last week against the New Orleans Saints on Monday night. Couple that with how Detroit looks on film, Tony, it seems to have trap game written all over it.
Oh, Ron, you're right. It's like the perfect equation. You mentioned Monday night. This team had the big win, but the Vikings did not get back to Minnesota until early Tuesday morning. Guys are tired. They're worn out. They're still sore on Wednesday. Brad Childers told us he took the pads off, put them in shells. All of that plus the fact that next week is the division-leading Chicago Bears, and you have the perfect trap game. That's where if you're Brad Childers, you hope the veterans are sharing the message with the young guys. Stay focused. Don't look past these guys, because if we lose this game, these are the type of games that keep you out of the playoffs at the end of the year.
Lions, Vikings, kickoff coming up next right here on Fox.
Come on.
And we are just about set for kickoff here at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Ron Pitts, Tony Baselli. Let's go down to the third member of our crew, Carissa Thompson. Carissa, hello.
Thank you, Ron. You know, Dan Orlovsky is a t-shirt and jeans guy, but he showed up to yesterday's team meetings in a collared shirt and a sweater. Roy Williams was the first to point out he never dresses like this, but it's an indication that the guy getting his first NFL start today is ready to lead. He was the first one out here during pregame, one of the last ones to lead, and looking to get the Lions their first win of the season.
All right, Carissa, thank you very much. Tony, what do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say he dressed up, but he forgot to shave.
I think that's planned.
Oh, is that planned? Is that the look? You know, sometimes that's the look today, you know, kind of the 5 o'clock shadow look. And, hey, listen, I don't care what you dress like, what you wear, anything else. We'll find out if he's ready to play quarterback in the NFL. This is one of the toughest places for a quarterback to play.
Detroit won the toss, but one of the new rules this year, you can defer. They have deferred, elect to kick off, put their defense on the field. And that's Maurice Hicks. Hicks goes backwards and goes down at about the 20-yard line. Alex Lewis is there along with a couple others for the tackle. Gus Frerotte, boy, he came in as the starter week 3, and he has made a huge difference for this team. 2-1. He took over when the team was 0-2. And Tony, it feels like he's brought new life to this team. Even though they're 2-3, just momentum, and we talked about that big win last week, Monday night, against the New Orleans Saints down in New Orleans.
Well, they got through the toughest part of their schedule in the first half. We just saw it there. These next 4 games are all very winnable.
They'll set up with Adrian Peterson in the backfield. They'll throw right off the top. The swing route, a man is there immediately. And it's incomplete. Bring up second down. That's Daniel Bullock's tight on the coverage. Peterson will get the run along with Chester Taylor. That's the 1-2 punch for this team. Peterson, Tony, hasn't come out of the blocks like we did, or like we thought he would, and like he did last year.
That's why you're glad, if you're a Viking fan or you're on this team, you have Gus Frerotte. You're throwing the ball better than you did last year. They won the game last week through the air.
8 career 100-yard rushing games for Peterson. Going deep, looking for Barry, and he trips. And markers go down. That's Lee Bodden, the corner. And they're going to call a push against Bodden.
Pass interference, defense number 28. Automatic, first down.
Our referee, Tony Corrente, with the first call of the day, and it moves the chains.
Yeah, Lee Bowden's going to be by himself on Bernard Berrien because they blitzed inside. The Vikings did a great job of picking it up. The Vikings are trying to find a way to get pressure on Farrat, and you're going to leave these corners on an island if you do that. Bowden's got to do a good job of having better body control.
Berrien with the 33-yard touchdown catch that tied the game last week against the Saints, and there's a sack. Lions defense, Dwayne White is there. And a look at that Lions defense, rated last in the NFL. Trouble doing just about everything, Tony. And you look at the tape and, you know, guys talking about a breakdown in one area every week.
But the defense they play, it's Tampa 2, it's from Tampa Bay. Joe Barry, the defense coordinator, was there for so long. It's a system defense. Guys have to be in the right place at the right time. One guy can blow the whole defense.
After the sack, 2nd and 19, a loss of 9. Peterson in a big hit from Bullocks. But a nice run, that picked up 6. The Detroit Lions have not won here since 1997, trying to erase that, Tony.
And watch Steve Hutchinson on this play. Just take Corey Redding and wash him completely out of the play right there. And then that's what you want to do if you're Daniel Bullock. You better come low on Adrian Peterson, because if you try to take him high, he's going to run you over. But great job by Steve Hutchinson, the left guard, all pro block.
Chester Taylor checks in, 3rd and long. They bring the corner. Backside throw, incomplete, intended for Bobby Wade. And the Lions defense, they do the job in this first series, get off the field. And it looks like Farrat limping a little bit as he hobbles off.
Well, they got pressure on the quarterback, something they weren't able to do against Kyle Orton last week in the Chicago Bears. That's a win for this Detroit defense. When you're 0-4, you look for little wins. Getting a powerful Viking offense off the field, win for the Lions.
And this is important for Minnesota. They gave up 2 big punt returns last week to Reggie Bush, and there's a great bounce and a down on the 1-yard line. Charles Gordon downs the ball. The kick from the much maligned last week, Chris Cluey, for not kicking out of bounds. Well, he downs it very nicely inside the 5. What a way to get your first NFL start. Dan Orlovsky, first start, he's backed up on the 1-yard line in Minnesota. It might be just a little bit loud down there. 2 tight end set, they'll hand it off. Nearly a safety. That's Rudy Johnson getting the call in front of Kevin Smith for the starting running back spot. He got 3 yards. Greenway on the tackle. We talked about Orlovsky, started his second half last week, and then thumping to the Chicago Bears. John Kitna, listed as working with back spasms, didn't even make the trip over, Tony, and boy, I don't know, it's only an hour and 15-minute flight. Kind of makes you think if they even wanted him over here.
You have to wonder if there's more to it. You would think you'd want a veteran presence on the sideline to help Dan Orlovsky out.
They were concerned that his back might stiffen up on the plane ride over. Johnson again, not much there. Big Pat Williams stopping up the middle.
Yeah, you said there's not much there. There's never much there when you have Pat and Kevin Williams in the middle, Ronnie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like running to, just a big purple darkness. I mean, there's purple jerseys everywhere, and you think there's 5 guys, and it's just 2 of them. That's how big these guys are in the interior. Very difficult to run between the tackles.
They'll be without E.J. Henderson. He is on the injured reserve list, gone for the season after foot surgery. The Vikings rated 3rd in the NFL against the rush, and they've shown it the first 2 plays. First pass attempt today for Orlovsky. Checks it down, and there's a hit. That's on the rookie Kevin Smith, and the Vikings defense gets off the field 3 and out.
And it's something to watch all day is how Dan Orlovsky handles the noise. You can see there on silent count right there. He's going to pick up his foot to signal the snap count, but communicating, it's very difficult here, if not impossible. He told us there's not going to be a lot of talking today at the line of scrimmage. They're going to call their play and run it.
Antoine Winfield, with the outstanding game last week, came up and made the hit. Hansen Check that. Harris punts it away. That's Charles Gordon. Gordon dancing. Look at Charles Gordon. And Charles Gordon with a nice return. Gets it back in to Lions territory. A marker is down. They're checking that out right now. Not a great kick there by Harris.
During the kick, personal foul. Receiving team number 89 hit a kicking team member while he was out of bounds. This 15-yard penalty will be assessed from the end of the kick. First down.
That's Robert Ferguson. Backup wide receiver gets popped. We're going out of bounds. Guess he didn't like the call. We'll be back after this. So Gus Frerotte at 37 years old, the oldest Viking, hobbled off the field there.
Has a little hitch as he's walking up the line of scrimmage. Well, hitch in his giddy up.
And we're working on that ankle. We'll try to get a report on it. First and 10 run. Peterson going backwards. Redding is there, no gain on the play. Lucky he didn't lose. Let's go down to Carissa Thompson and check in on Gus Frerotte.
Yeah, you guys, he appeared to be in a bit of pain when he was walking over to the sidelines. Trainers put him up on the table, took off his socks and shoes, and wrapped that left ankle. He walked around on it a bit, then kind of shook his head as to indicate that he's good to go. But we'll keep an eye on it all game.
All right, Carissa, thank you very much. Frerotte comes into today's game needing 174 yards passing to go over the 20,000-yard mark. 15-year bet. Trying to save the season here for the Vikings after an 0-2 start. The long throw, the post corner route, and that's Bernard Berrien, and Berrien still going, working down inside the Lions' 35-yard line. Finally brought down by Bullocks, but he picks up 33. And a Lion is injured. That's Paris Lennon, the middle linebacker.
And you can see play action pass. Even if the Vikings aren't running the ball great, you still have to honor Adrian Peterson. Offensive line does a good job. And then this is something that's been killing the Detroit Lions: coverage mistakes. Guys running wide open, free, nobody within 10 yards of them. There's breakdowns. Talking to Rod Marinelli, they said they gave up 6 explosive pass plays, big plays last week against Chicago. 3 of them were against cover 2, the safest coverage you can have. They have major issues in the secondary right now as far as getting in the right place at the right time.
First and 10 after the big play. Another quick one outside. That's Andre Allison, but we've got markers down.
Holding, offense number 64. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
That's Anthony Herrera. Let's go to Los Angeles for our first game break of the day. Here's Kurt Menefee.
All right, Tampa's special teams looking special. That's the rookie Geno Hayes in there on the block punt on Carolina. And then he scoops it up and runs it in for a 22-yard score. Nice job by the rookie as Tampa takes a quick lead in the first quarter. Ron, Tony?
All right, Kurt, a big game in the NFC South. The Carolina Panthers and the Buccaneers special teams striking early. So the Vikings go back after the penalty. First and 20. Peterson looking for the cutback, and it's not there. Tony, are you surprised how stout the Lions are against the run thus far, coming in ranked 30th against the rush?
Well, they had a film to watch last week against New Orleans to get a lot of confidence. New Orleans was another, I think they're 26th or 27th against in rush defense, and completely shut out Adrian Peterson, held him to 1.5 yards per carry. So if I'm a Detroit Lions defensive lineman or linebacker, I put that film in and get a lot of confidence.
Second and long. This is Chester Taylor. Taylor almost broke through. Picked up about 5, and I'm sure Chester Taylor still celebrating that big win by Toledo yesterday over the University of Michigan.
And the difference there, Ron, in the first couple plays here that the Lions have shut down was zone blocking, which is more of a lateral, a horizontal, excuse me. This was a trap play. You can see Anthony Herrera pulling around. It's a downhill run play. They're having more success at the straight ahead running and less on the zone blocking schemes.
Taylor, 7-year man out of Toledo. There's the screenplay, and he drops it. Looked as though he had plenty of room to run, but miscues early, and that'll lead to another punting situation for the Vikings.
Now, this is similar to last week against the Chicago Bears. The Detroit Lions defense did a really good job of keeping him in that game. It was 3-0 for a long time. The offense did nothing to help them out. No momentum, didn't take advantage of any of the good defensive play by the Lions. Let's see if Dan Orlowski can get this offense going a little bit and at least change field position.
So Cluey killed it inside the 1-yard line last time. He goes for it again and almost gets it, but it takes a roll into the end zone for a touchback. And we will be back with Dan Orlowski and the Lions offense 0-0 here in the first. Dan Orlowski has been the inactive third-string quarterback for most of his last 3 years with the Detroit Lions. The second half action he got last week against the Chicago Bears, that was the most action he had gotten since his college days at Connecticut. So this is all a very new feel for him. A little better field position this time around. Pressure backside, he throws, got it off, but he did take a hit. Intended for Calvin Johnson. And Tony, let's take a look at the game within the game today.
And this week we have something special to look at, and it's two of the best defensive tackles in all of football. There might be individuals on teams that play at their level, but these guys have, the Vikings have two of them, both Pat and Kevin Williams. And the matchup that Dominic Raiola, Edwin Mulitalo, and Manny Ramirez are going to have on their hands today, you better bring your lunch pail. You better bring 2 lunch pails, because these guys, boy, it's an all-day battle against both Williams.
2nd and 10. They keep it on the ground. That's Rudy Johnson. He loses his lid, manages to get 2 yards. Ben Lieber on the tackle. Let's go to Los Angeles for this game break. Here's Curt Menefee.
Well, a new coach for the Rams, same old results. Inside the 5-yard line, Steven Jackson coughs it up, turns it over. The Redskins recover and make them pay. Clinton Portis on the very next play from scrimmage scores from 3 yards out, and Washington, just like that, has got a 7-0 lead. Back to Detroit and Minnesota and Ron and Tony.
Talking about the new head coach, Jim Haslett, same old results. And boy, the Washington Redskins have turned it up a notch with their head coach, Jim Zorn. 3rd and 9. Orlowski holds the ball, checks it down. That's the rookie Kevin Smith. And he's going to be about a yard or 2 short of the first down. Good effort, driven out by Cedric Griffin.
And good job by the young quarterback, Dan Orlowski's hanging in there. Yeah. Pressure around him, a lot of bodies flying around. Knew it was 3rd and 9, knew he had to make a play with his arm, not with his feet. And a lot of young quarterbacks don't have this kind of poise. A little pump fake down the field, saw it was covered up, and had enough sense to find his outlet, Kevin Smith.
So this will be Nick Harris punting away to Charles Gordon, the backup defensive back. Nice high kick, good hang time on that one. Gordon will take this one at about the 22. Makes a cut, and he stopped. The coverage teams by the Detroit Lions, very, very good. Coming into today's game, 49-yard punt, 4 yards on the return. Vikings ball when we come back. How we fix this thing. There's a quick throw outside. Bobby Wade with maybe a couple. Tony?
Yeah, you talk about wanting answers, and everyone, you know, Matt Millen's gone now. Okay, who do we blame next? Well, it's Rod Marinelli, the head coach. That's how it works. But listen, we heard Curt Menefee in the game break out of LA say the St. Louis Rams have a new head coach, Jim Haslett. Same result. I mean, sooner or later, guys on the field have to make plays. Guys are getting paid a lot of money. They got to come out here and perform and do what the coaches are asking them to do. Rod Marinelli is a sound football coach. He is coaching these guys right. And you talk to guys like Roy Williams, they say the onus is on the players.
They'll pick up the 2, 2nd down and 8. Rock changing the play. Here comes blitz by the Lions. And that's a breakout. Peterson goes helmet to helmet, and it's a first down. Adrian Peterson, the first-round pick last year from Oklahoma, had the breakout year. He gets a breakout here.
Well, here's a perfect example. They have the right blitz. They have the right call. Alex Lewis comes scot-free. No one blocks him. instead of being under control, runs right by Adrian Peterson, leaving a gaping hole. Under control, using proper technique, that's a loss of 3. Instead, you got a first down.
Peterson again stopped in the backfield. Looked like a nice job there by Dwayne White along with Daniel Bullets. That was good for 2 yards.
You saw Adrian Peterson trying to work back to the backside, Ron. You know, it's something that we've seen quite a bit now. He likes that cutback. Dwayne White did a good job of making sure, containing him in there and making sure he had nowhere to run. Adrian Peterson's a guy who has great vision, so you can't just play the front side. Your backside defenders have to do their job as well.
Peterson shut down last week, 21 carries for 32 yards, only 1.5 a carry. The long throw across his body to the other side of the field, and that looks good enough for a first down. That's Robert Ferguson, and if you question Gus Frerott's arm strength, hard to question it on that play.
Well, yeah, all you have to do is watch practice, or you talk to the coaches. You know, you can maybe question Gus Frerotte about different things, you know, about how old he is or whatever. Maybe he's not the most fleet of foot guy, but the one thing he has at the age of 37 that he's always had is a big arm. And ever since he's been in there, this team has become much more proficient. I think they won the game last week because of Gus Frerotte. They're averaging 72 yards more in passing since he took over.
Another throw, another completion. And where you're getting at least 7-8 yards of crack on first down, I don't think you have defensive calls for that down and distance.
No, I mean, you put yourself in a real bind because now all the time in this league you talk about staying on schedule. The offense wants to get positive yardage, 4 or 5 yards on first down. It sets up their whole offense, the whole game plan for second down, and gives you an array of decisions and choices. Defensively, just the opposite. You want to try to keep them in long situations, then you can turn up the blitz and do different coverages behind those blitzes.
2nd and 3, Bernard Berrien checks back in. And there's a blitz and a sack. Frerotte nearly fumbled the ball. Ernie Sims is in on it, along with a couple other Lions. Some very well-timed blitzes thus far from the Detroit Lions. Defensive coordinator Joe Barry having a little success early here on that.
Ron, watch the backside. Everyone will concentrate on the blitz, but watch these backside guys right here. Watch them cover up everybody, because Gus Frerotte was forced to hold the ball a little bit. It was a delayed blitz. Every individual in the back end of that coverage is covered up. They're playing man back there. There's nowhere to go. Allows Ernie Sims to get there and hit Gus Frerotte right in the mouth.
Jared DeVries, a little shaken up on the play. We'll check on him when we come back. So after the sack by Ernie Sims, this is a 3rd and 9. Man-to-man coverage outside. They get it to Taylor, and Taylor gets the first down. A big collision on the sidelines, but it was too late. He'd already passed the marker. 15 yards, and it moves the chains for the Minnesota Vikings.
You know, we talk all the time about running backs finishing plays. Adrian Peterson finishes runs. Watch him deliver the blow. He's the hammer, not the nail here. Excuse me, that was Chester Taylor. Usually it is Adrian Peterson.
Right.
Chester Taylor that time delivering the blow, showing he has a little something also, just like Adrian Peterson.
Backside throw, Wade breaks the tackle, and he's got a first down. Working on Lee Bodden. Ryan Neese with the tackle. Another game break out to Los Angeles. Here's Kurt Menefee.
Well, the Colts looking for their first win pre or regular season in their new stadium. Here's one way to get it. Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison hooking up again. 67-yard score, and they lead the Ravens right now 7-0. And by the way, Ron and Tony, Joseph Adai doubtful to return in that game. He's got an injured hamstring, so that passing game may be important.
All right, Kurt, thank you very much.
Well, you're going to have to count on any passing game. I want Peyton Manning back there.
What a comeback they had last week against the Houston Texans and Sage Rosenfels. That's Adrian Peterson. Peterson trying to get outside, not much. And you know, thus far, Tony, before that big pass play and the knockout there on the sidelines after the first down by Chester Taylor, a good decision by the Lions to defer the toss, put their defense on the field. Joe Barry had been able to dial up some nice stuff.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row, this defense has come out to play. They need some help by the offense like we talked about. Even on the Chester Taylor big play. Ernie Sims was there. Missed tackle allows him to get the first down. So the defense is playing well right now.
2nd down and 6. That's Peterson. Peterson churning those legs, working between the hashes. He's going to be about a yard shy of the first. Harris Lennon checks back in at the middle linebacking spot.
Now I can talk about Adrian Peterson, about finishing runs. He gets his pads north and south, and he is so difficult to bring down. Rarely one individual will bring him down going high. And you can see the Detroit Lions, they realized coming into this week they needed a gang tackle. They just can't count on one guy to bring him down. Get all the Lions defenders to surround him.
Peterson again. Fumble! Lions have it. So the first big miscue of the day for the Vikings turns into money for the Detroit Lions. Dwight Smith with the fumble recovery.
The ball was fumbled by Minnesota, recovered by Detroit. The ball will be placed at the 1-yard line, first down.
Boy, that was Daniel Bullock. He might have, that hit on the sidelines by Justin Taylor might have woke him up, because he came in here and had a textbook tackle. Puts his helmet right on the ball. Ball spouts out the play the Lions needed. Adrian Peterson a little shook up and more frustrated than anything at himself. Daniel Bullock with the big play. That's something the Lions needed. They said they need some breaks, they need turnovers, they need something positive to happen. And you have to make your breaks. All the hard work starting to pay off. Rod Marinelli told us this team works as hard as any team he's been around in practice. They're waiting for the payoff.
Once again, horrible field position and a mix-up in the backfield. Orlovsky throws it away. Looked as though he was in the pocket. Can't really tell from this angle, Tony.
It was a screen.
There was no intentional grounding, as number 45 was in the area.
And they allow that on the screenplay, the intentional throwdown, even though he's not out of the pocket.
Yeah, smart play. You can see the tackle right here. This is what they call the tackle box. On this play, it doesn't matter. He's outside of it.
Yeah, he's out.
But even if he was in it, it wouldn't matter because it's a screen. A couple years ago, they changed the rule on that play, a screen play, to allow the quarterback to throw it at the feet of the intended receiver.
The average starting field position thus far for the Lions offense, their own 8-yard line. 2nd and 10 pass. That one's going up. Got a chance. And it looked as though it was dropped. Calvin Johnson, the ball thrown right over his outside shoulder, his left shoulder, which is where you want it. And a difficult throw in this type of situation.
And this is where you need guys to make a play. This is a perfectly thrown ball, a little long, but that's what big-time players get paid to do. Make a play, help your team out, change field position. So far, I like what I've seen out of Dan Orlovsky, and you might say, why? What has he done? The composure, sitting in the pocket. Yeah. He's in his own end zone. The place is loud. Tough defense. Boy, I mean, look at the field position start. I mean, everything's gone against him. He's hung in there. That was a good ball run. You would expect that play to be made. That's what you want when you're backed up. You know you're going to get outside one-on-one with those two receivers, whether it's Roy Williams or Calvin Johnson. You like those matchups. Throw it up and let them go make a play.
It was interesting talking to Roy Williams last night. He said that Calvin Johnson is the new Randy Moss of this league. Now, no one's seen that on game day. That must be in practice, but there's also an issue of getting a distribution between passes to each receiver. They start off getting Calvin Johnson a lot of passes and Roy Williams getting very few. Then it switched over. Roy Williams started to get a lot of balls. Calvin Johnson got very few.
Well, and part of me understands the complaint because you have two really good receivers. And the only reason you're hard on Calvin Johnson, you expect to make that play because he has all the talent in the world.
And he's a first-round pick.
He's a first-rounder. I agree with Roy Williams. He has the talent to be a Randy Moss-type player. But you got to make those big plays. I mean, you got a rookie quarterback. He's being savvy. He throws the ball away on the screen that's not there. He throws it up. A good enough ball to give your receiver a chance to make the play. The big-time players need to help this guy out. Roy Williams, Calvin Johnson, two of their biggest players.
3rd and 10. Here comes Jared Allen, and he's out of bounds. Poor guy. I don't even know if he realized it. And that's a safety.
Well, so much for me calling him savvy because he had no idea where he's on the field. Tough situation, but you just can't do that. You have to realize, and you can see him, he didn't even know he was out of bounds. Tough situation for a young quarterback, but you always got to be aware, Ron, of the situation where you are. But listen, I mean, being on the 1 yard line, having to throw it to your end zone 3 times in a row, tough spot to be in.
It goes back to the drop ball by Johnson. I mean, you can't ask a guy who hasn't played much in his 4 years here, 3 years in Detroit, to throw a better ball backed up in his own end zone against Minnesota. And the Lions have gotten behind, as you can see, early on.
And now we'll find the character out. Let's find, I mean, they haven't scored in the first quarter all year. They won't going to do it here, only unless, I shouldn't say that, maybe they get a kickoff fumble and they return it, but only 18 seconds left. You wouldn't think so. But this is where you hope the message that Rod Marinelli has preached to this team week in and week out since, you know, OTA days all the way through training camp, that they still buy in, will hang in there. It's only 2-0. Defense now has to come up and make another big stop.
So Nick Harris, after the punt, by rule, will have to, after the safety, will have to punt it away. And a nice punt. Takes Charles Gordon all the way back to about the 15. And Gordon with a breakout. Gordon one man to beat the punter. And he's pushed out of bounds at about the 45-yard line. 42-yard return by Charles Gordon.
I mean, you talked about Nick Harris with a great punt, but look at how much distance is between Charles Gordon and the closest defender. He almost outkicked his coverage, finds the seam. And Nick Harris hustling down after he made a great punt to help slow down Charles Gordon. Again, I mean, you talk about the tale of 2 starting positions. The Lions continually are backed up. Once again, the Vikings have great field position starting in Lion territory.
So even though the Vikings fumbled the ball, the Lions get nothing out of it. In fact, the Vikings got something out of that fumble, a safety. Pressure once again on Gus Frerotte. That is the 2nd sack of the day. Check that, the 3rd sack of the day by the Detroit Lions. Paris Lennon, and that is the end of the first quarter. 2-0 game here. Looks like baseball. The NFL on Fox continues after these short commercial messages. No, the Dodgers and Phillies haven't started yet. That's 2-0 here in Minnesota. This is football.
We do have a man ram though. You know, we had a man ram, the right guard for the
Manny
Lions.
Ramirez. That's right. We do have a Manny Ramirez
so
in
maybe
this game.
They're confused a little bit. Man ran for the Dodgers. We got 2-0 here.
Hey, we start the second quarter. Ron Pitts, Tony Baselli, and Tony. You know, the defense for the Lions, they have done everything right thus far.
They have. They've really shut them down. They played very well. They're very aggressive right now. A lot of blitz and man covers behind.
They hand it off to Taylor, and Taylor for about 4 or 5. And we talked earlier about the Lions winning the toss, but choosing to defer the toss, or the coin toss, and then giving the ball to Minnesota, putting their defense on the field right away.
Well, it's their strongest unit if you take out special teams.
Right.
Coverage teams are really playing well for the Lions right now, but the Lions defense is their strongest unit. They're really being aggressive. They're blitzing a lot, playing a lot of man coverage. You wonder how long can they hold up doing that? Are they going to get caught sooner or later over the top playing man-to-man?
This brings up a 3rd down. Pressure again. 4th sack of the day, and we aren't even in the second half.
And Ron, that time,
DeVries.
excuse me, I'm sorry, that time it was not the blitz. They brought only 4. They got there with 4 guys. Jared DeVries, he's going to come from right here over Ryan Cook and just beats him, slaps his hands down. Ryan Cook gets his shoulders turned. Excellent move by DeVries, and is in Gus Frerodte's face. They've been in his face all day long.
And this is what we talked about with Trap Game, coming off of that emotional win against New Orleans last week in a loud stadium down there. Could they get it up and going here back home against a team struggling? And that one rolls into the end zone for a touchback. We still got a 2-zip game here in Minnesota. And this is eye-opening to say the least. The first 4 games of the season, the Lions had 4 sacks. They've already got 4 sacks today. and 10. Run blitz inside. They brought Lieber along with the safety Sharper, and Sharper makes them pay.
Ron, you talk about the defense doing their job. I mean, I don't care how good the defense plays. If you can't get a first down offensively, sooner or later that defense is going to be put its back up against the wall and have a hard time of holding up. If I'm the Detroit Lions at this time, I don't know if you can run the ball between the tackles. We talked about the game within the game. Kevin and Pat Williams, very formidable. Maybe run on the edges a little bit. I think you have to take advantage of the size of your receivers and try to throw something over the top and get an easy one.
A loss of 5. 2nd and 15. Play clock, not getting. Just got it off. The high throw, it's caught. Very little yardage. That's Calvin Johnson working on Cedric Griffin. The Lions trying to rebound after yet another thrubbing. The Chicago Bears came into town, beat them up last week 34-7. And it's the same old story. Rod Marinelli keeps saying, all we can do is keep fighting.
Well, right now, the defense has bought into that message because defensively they're fighting. Now we need the Lions offense to show up, and this can make a big play or something right here. That's what they need.
This is 3rd and 11. They give him some time. The long route outside. It's caught, but I believe he's out of bounds. Yes, he is. That's Roy Williams with a nice catch. Working on Cedric Griffin, and that'll bring on the punt team for Detroit.
Boy, oh boy, look at this one-handed catch. He has the ball right there. Oh, and that toe is just on the white line. What a great catch by Roy Williams, showing why he's one of the most dangerous receivers in this game.
So Charles Gordon is back deep. Gordon has had a couple nice returns. There was a kickoff after a safety. He returned that one well over 40 yards. He should get decent field position here. Off the side of the foot of Harris, but he does get a good roll. That one rolls inside the 30-yard line. And the marker's down.
And we talked about the Vikings and having a trap game. Gus Frerotte, the veteran leader, needs
During
to get
the
this
kick,
unit
holding,
going.
receiving team number 38. This penalty be assessed from the spot where the kick ended. First down.
As I was saying, Gus Frerotte needs to get his linemen, get his guys together and say, hey, we need to wake up and establish ourselves right here. Let's get a score.
So good news for the Lions defense and maybe the Lions offense. The worst starting field position of the day for the Minnesota Viking offense. Ball spotted at about the 19-yard line. Peterson with the bounce out. Can't quite get the great open field tackle there. That's Keith Smith, the backup corner, coming up with a nice tackle. And Tony, talking to Steve Hutchinson, the left guard for the Minnesota Vikings, we keep talking about trap game, and he said, you know, maybe not, because last week's win wasn't as positive as it felt.
Yeah, I asked every guy, saying, listen, are you worried about the trap game? And the most interesting answer to that question was Steve Hutchinson said, listen, it's not like we played great last week. We're only 2-3. We need to just focus. We better play well so we can get back to 500.
That was good enough for 3. Boy, and the Lions very staunch against the run game. Dwight Smith coming up there.
And I think, you know, going back to Steve Hutchinson, he realized, listen, we didn't run the ball very well last week against New Orleans. Not a great defense. You know, we better not get too confident and get our heads too big. Listen, Steve Hutchinson been around a long time. Now the question is, was he able to communicate that to the young guys? You don't worry about trap games with the older guys as much as the young guys start buying into the press. Oh, we arrived, big win. You better wake up right now offensively, because right now Detroit's outplaying you.
The yards look good for Minnesota, but they've only got 2 points on the board. 3rd and 6. Going deep. Incomplete. Intended for Andre Allison. It was overthrown, plus he was well covered. I believe Frerotte might have just overthrew that one on purpose just to get off the field.
Andre Allison lurking out there against Lee Bowden. And you can see Lee might have got away with a little bit of contact, knocked Andre Allison off his course just enough to make the ball overthrown.
Both teams, 7 possessions, 6 punts, and a safety. Mike Furry looking for the wall. No wall. The marker goes down at about the 23-yard line, as does Mike Furry.
There was a wall out there, Ronnie.
I saw that.
It was just a purple wall. It was a wall of Vikings running down the field, and Mike Fury looking for somebody to go. And,
During the return of the kick, illegal block in the back, number 57, receiving team. This penalty will be assessed 10 yards.
Boy, I don't know.
In the spot of the foul, first down.
We had a chance to look at that in one of our replay monitors. I'm not sure. Oh well, 2-0 Minnesota.
Well, you want to know what Ronnie was talking about right now. Watch Jordan Dizon against Vinny Churchill. I'm not sure what else Jordan Dizon could have done to get out of the way. He belly bumped him. A tough penalty right there that Willie's backed up the Lions offense once again.
Are you allowed to block a guy with your pelvis? That's the real question. That's Kevin Smith.
I guess not, because he got flagged for it.
Well, we talk about our 2-0 football-baseball game. Well, tonight it's Game 3 of the NLCS as the scene shifts to Los Angeles, where Ryan Howard and the Phillies take on Manny Ramirez and the Dodgers. Coverage of Game 3 of the NLCS begins tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, right here on Fox. And the pitchers going tonight: Jamie Moyer for the Phillies, and for the Dodgers, Hiroki Kuroda will go on the mound for them. Phillies up 2-0 in that series, and the starting middle linebacker, David Herron, who is subbing for the originally starting middle linebacker, E.J. Henderson, who was put on the injured reserve list this past week, meaning he is gone for the year. Now he's hurt. Herron,
going back to E.J. Henderson playing at a Pro Bowl level, had, like you said, on IR, had the surgery on his foot. David Herron comes in. Not a lot of depth. Not a lot of depth at middle linebacker.
Herron, the first-year man out of Michigan State, spent time on the practice squad. They're working on him, and just a quick look back at first quarter action. A lot of pressure by the Lions defense.
That was a big turnover. Kept him out of the end zone, but backed him up, which led to this safety. David Orlowski not really sure where he is at on the field, runs out of the back of the end zone. But for the most part, the story today has been the Lions defense getting after Gus Frerotte, being physical with the blitz, the front four beating them, really stymied this Viking offense so far. But on the other side, it's the same story. The Vikings defense has completely stymied the Lions offense.
Let's take a look at what may have happened to Herron.
There he is right there in the pile. Tough to tell from that angle exactly what happens. He goes, and you can see he grabs his ankle right away and is really gingerly walking off the field right now. And we talked about the lack of depth at the middle linebacker with E.J. Henderson going on IR. And they're going to bring Vinny Churchill in, who just was the reason for why the Lions are backed up. He's the one that was being blocked illegally on the last return, so he's going to have to step in at middle linebacker.
6-year man out of Boston College, brought in last year from Carolina in free agency, and he's a little banged up. Suffered a concussion last week, and he's out there not 100%. 2nd and 6. Throw over the middle, nice catch, nice throw, and a Lions first down. Maybe the first productive offensive play we've seen today for the Lions. That's good for 17 yards.
And that's how you make a young quarterback feel comfortable. It starts up front. You give him plenty of room, plenty of time in the pocket, allow him to step up, scan the field, and then watch Roy Williams. Not a perfect ball, but Roy Williams does what a great receiver does. He goes up and grabs it with his hands and helps the young quarterback out.
The first down of the day, as we were at the 9-minute mark of the second quarter for the Detroit Lions. And they keep it on the ground for a couple. That's Kevin Smith. Smith got 3.
Ron, that was one of the best runs I've seen Kevin Smith make. And you say, what are you talking about? It's only 3 yards. But he did something that I did not see him do on film. On film, he was dancing around, trying to find holes, trying to hit a home run every time. On that play right there, he ran downhill and took what the defense gave him. Was physical, ran with good pad level, and got 3 yards. Sometimes those are the best runs you can do for an offense.
Same number, but a different Kevin. Kevin Jones is gone. This is Kevin Smith. Almost broke that one. Vinny Churchu saves extra yardage. A little bit of a scuffle over there along the numbers. They get it worked out. Smith, very underrated. Came out early his junior year from Central Florida. Had some very, very good numbers there.
And this is what happens if you're Kevin Smith. This is where, if you run hard, those things, you'll start to pop those things. You'll find little creases. You're running downhill, and the littlest crease will open up to a big play.
Over 2,500 yards rushing last year alone, second most in NCAA history to Barry Sanders. A hit, a throwdown, and that one never had a chance. Now they're trying to say fumble. I don't think they're going to get away with it. Pat Williams with the pressure.
Tough to say it's a fumble when the ball goes forward 15 yards.
Yeah.
I don't care how it gets released. If it goes forward that way, it's an incomplete pass. And Dan doing what a lot of young quarterbacks do, trying to find the perfect play. He's holding on the ball, not sure. You can see him trying to find someone down the field. He's stepping up and steps up right into the Vikings rush.
So that brings on Nick Harris to punt it away to Charles Gordon. Better punt this time out by Harris. Gordon calls for the fair catch, and he'll take the fair catch at the 10-yard line. 49-yard punt, 2-zip. Vikings offense coming up. In his third year as Vikings head coach, pulled the trigger on the quarterback spot earlier in the year after starting 0-2. Took Tavares Jackson out, went with Gus Frerotte, and was very clear saying this change is not temporary. Back to the run game. That's Peterson. Tackle by Bullocks, good run. Pick up a 5 yards.
And Ron, you talk about how the change is not temporary. Listen, he also said Tavares Jackson has a future in this league. He's going to be a good quarterback, but this team needs the veteran leadership of Gus Frerotte. And by looking at the work, the games that they've had since, he made the right call. Gus Frerotte has improved the passing game. They basically won the game with Gus Ferrotte's right arm against the New Orleans Saints. He brings a veteran presence, a calming effect to this offense for the Vikings.
Taylor, along with Peterson, both in the backfield. That ball tip coming out, nearly intercepted. Ryan Kelly touched it, but a penalty marker goes down. They might have illegal motion, illegal shift. Tony Corrente holding some of the blocks.
Illegal shift, offense, 2 men in motion, never reset prior to the play. This penalty has been declined. 3rd down.
So the Lions decline it, bring up 3rd down. Sean Cody.
Sean Cody working right there in the middle of the screen against Matt Burke and Steve Hutchinson. Realizing not going to get there, does what every good defensive lineman is trained to do. If you can't get to the quarterback, get your hands up and knock the ball down.
So declining the penalty brings up a 3rd and 5. The outside throw, it's an easy 1st down. That's Bernard Berrien. And he's working on Lee Bodden. Boy, and Lee Bodden under some fire in the Detroit media. Traded over from Cleveland, signed a big 4-year, $27 million deal. The people want more production, particularly the interceptions.
Yeah, and Lee Bodden giving Bernard Berrien a lot of respect, too much room on 3rd and 5.
Had 6 interceptions last year in Cleveland. Vikings go back to Peterson in the run. That's good for 5 yards.
And we talked about Kevin Smith finishing runs and just taking what the defense will give you. Something Adrian Peterson, if you're going to be critical of him, Brad Childers told us sometimes he tries to make a touchdown run every time. Just take what the defense gives you. A 4 or 5 yard carry is a positive play, especially on 1st down. And he's the guy who can push piles and carry people.
2nd and 5. Bootleg, looking for Berrien. There he is. but it hit immediately. Nice open field tackle there.
Ron, you gotta like, that was Daniel Bullock's there. You gotta like how this Lions defense is tackling in the open field. They're playing at a very high level. You would not know the Lions are 0-4 by the way their defense is playing at this point. And Bernard Berrian working across the formation, a naked rollout. And if Daniel Bullock doesn't make that play, most likely going to be a first down.
Bullock's a second-round pick back in 2006. Third-year man out of Nebraska. 3rd and 7. Lions bring pressure. And it's tipped away. So the Boo Birds come out here in Minnesota as once again the Lions defense rises to the occasion. Cliff Averill, that's the 3rd-round pick out of Purdue, who, Tony, we talked about last night with Rod Marinelli. He will show flashes. He showed one there.
Watch right over here. You can't see Lee Bodden come, but right there at the last second out of his screen, onto your screen, Lee Bodden comes in, tips the ball. A lot of pressure so far on Gus Frerotte.
This is Sean McDonald. He takes it at the 25. Had a lane for a little bit and then went straight to the carpet. Garrett Mills hustling down, making the tackle. And you know, people talk about the curses around the NFL.
Chicago, or in baseball, Chicago Cubs, Boston Red Sox. Well, there's a curse here in Detroit as well, Ron.
In 1958, after leading the Lions to 3 NFL championships, Bobby Lane, quarterback Bobby Lane, was traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And according to legend, as he was leaving, Lane said, "Detroit will not win for 50 years. Well, guess what? As of this past week, the curse officially ended. So let's be on the lookout for the Detroit Lions. So far, I think the defense believes in that curse because they're playing like it's off. There's a quick throw over the middle, complete to Michael Gaines, brought in this year from Buffalo.
Hey, when you're 0-4, you'll look for anything to help you out. If it's the curse of Bobby Lane, who, like you said, was traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, you know it's old when the quarterback's wearing double twos, 22 out there. But hey, listen, it was talked about in the media a little bit last week. The Lions just looking for something to build on, something positive.
Truly a great player in his day. Led to championships for the Lions in 52, 53, and 57. And there's a breakout by Kevin Smith. Smith with a great block downfield. And Smith is inside the Vikings' 15-yard line. Vinny Churchill finally brings him down. But Kevin Smith, and he's right, let's go, gets uncorked for the Lions for 49 big ones.
Kevin Smith just going to work off tackle. We talk about just take what the defense gives you. Take what the defense gives you. He runs downhill, and sooner or later, that crease will be there. And Manny Ramirez, only his 2nd NFL start. Look at the big man working down the field, staying in it the whole time, and deliver a blow to Darren Sharper.
And the Lions' longest offensive play of the year and the longest run of the short career for Smith. And of course, Lions fans are saying, now that's typical. Come back with a big play, and what do? Fumble the next snap.
Yeah, one play they're saying, yay, the curse is over, the curse is over, look at the big play. Then you come back with a fumbled snap and you're saying, maybe it's not the curse after all.
Tony, let's talk Kevin Smith, though. You look at him, and if you're not careful, you'll think that's Kevin Jones. Same number, same kind of body language on the field. But as I said, over 2,500 yards rushing last year. His junior year, because he came out early, 2nd only to Barry Sanders for the most in a college season. 2nd and 10, Rudy Johnson checks in. Pressure inside, not going to get away from Kevin Williams.
And they decide to block the wrong guy. Edwin Mulitalo will block down because he thinks Chad Greenway's going to come, and leaves Kevin Williams all by himself. There's a mix-up there. If that happens, if the left guard's going to block down like that, then Rudy Johnson has to replace him. He's got to come and replace him. You can't leave. It's hard enough when Kevin Williams is blocked. Unblocked, it's impossible.
See, since the great play, a fumbled snap, a sack. And the 3rd sack of the year for Kevin Williams. The draw, the safe play. And it looked as though Smith ran right into his own man. Ray Edwards is there. Smith ekes out 2. But this is the 2-minute warning.
This is
4th down coming up. So the drive stalls, and the longest tenured Lion in franchise history, 17 years in the league, at age 38, will go from 39 yards out. He is perfect, 5 for 5 on the season. Officially, it's 40. It's clear, no flags are down, and the Lions take the lead.
No one has said that very often this year. It's only the second time. First time in the first half, they had the lead briefly against the Green Bay Packers. Minute 56 left in the first half. You know, something to build on. When you're struggling, you're looking for anything to build on, anything positive. And if you're the Vikings, the shoe's on the other foot. You're saying, wait a second. We're supposed to be the better team. We're 2-3. We come after a big win. We better wake up. And if you're an offense, you want to try to score right here, Ronnie, because the last thing you want to do is go in the halftime down and listen to the head coach rip you a new one. So if you can get something here, it changes everything.
Absolutely. And the Vikings want this game, need this game, for the simple fact that they play the Chicago Bears next week. They go into that game 500. They're thinking get a win there, not going to your bye week above
with the lead,
500.
yeah, and the lead in the division.
And leading the division. Right now, Chicago in the lead in that NFC North with a 3-2 record. Green Bay and Minnesota bunched together at 2-3. This will be Hicks. And Hicks, not a lot there. Fitzsimmons with a nice tackle. Well, this Tuesday on Fox, don't miss an all-new episode of the most talked-about new series of the season, Fringe, presented with limited commercials. Imagine the possibilities. This Tuesday at 9/8 Central, right here, after an all-new House, only on Fox. Viewer discretion is advised.
You talk about imagining the possibilities. If you're the Vikings right now, you're imagining the possibilities of what happens if you don't find a way to get back in this game and get it going.
Yeah, they're on that fringe, so to speak. 1st and 10, under the 2-minute warning. Quick throw and a completion, that's Bobby Wade. Wade, the leading receiver, if by nothing more than attrition, with injuries early to Bernard Berrien, along with Sidney Rice.
And it'll be interesting to watch the Detroit Lions defense. They've been playing a lot of man, aggressively blitzing. Probably won't want to do that in this situation. Play a little bit more of their base cover 2 look.
It was good for 11 yards. Pressure again, but Farrat standing in, finds his man. That's a tight end, Vasante Shenko.
And the question is, if you're the Detroit Lions, do you want to play that base kind of softer look? I mean, you got the lead. I almost think you want to go out of the ordinary and try to continue to pressure Gus Farrat because it's worked this far.
Vikings with 3 timeouts left. They bring pressure inside and a quick throw down there. Very nicely done by the Lions. Ramsey Robinson was coming off the inside or the corner.
And I agree with that. I don't think you can, if you're the Lions, you're 0-4, you have the lead for the first time in the first half. You don't have the luxury of just kind of playing prevent and sit back and try to, hopefully hold them to a field goal or less. You're the Lions. As a player, you want to go in with the lead. So Joe Barry, the defense coordinator, I think he has to continue to be aggressive. He's really confused his Vikings offense, hitting Gus Farrat, making it difficult for him all day.
And the chain gang sleeping a bit, forgot to move the chains up. So now the Vikings forced to go back in the huddle while the guys get the red sticks together, or orange, whatever you want to call it.
Those poor guys in the sidelines didn't think they were going to show up to work and get yelled at by the head coach by Brad Childers today.
They changed the spot after reception by Shenko from 9 to 10 yards on a 1st down. There's the dump down after the near sack. That's Chester Taylor. And a timeout is called. Minnesota takes their first timeout. Don't forget the Visa halftime report coming your way. Kurt Menefee, Terry, Howie, Michael and Jimmy will have all the latest scores and highlights from around the NFL. Plus, the Fox Sports ticker with the up to the second stats. Coming your way in about 52 seconds. Tony, why have the Vikings had so much trouble picking up the Lions' blitzes?
I mean, right now, if you look at it, it just looks like the Lions are playing faster. They're being physical and playing faster than the Vikings' offense. I mean, and you talk to the Vikings, we talked about trap game. You and I were worried about it. We're talking now, but we only talked to the veterans. Talking to the veterans, they said they realize, hey, listen, this is the NFL. Yeah, this is the NFL. If we're not careful, these guys can come in and play. They're good players, and they can beat us if we don't play good.
3rd down and 2. Lions showing some more of that pressure. They bring a little bit man-to-man down the field. Good coverage, working on Andre Allison along with Lee Bodden. And Bodden is all over it.
And give Lee Bodden a lot of credit. You can say what you want. Maybe he's been a little bit much maligned this year, not getting the interceptions you want like he did in Cleveland last year. But we've seen him a couple times now. Good, gets a handoff. Direct, perfect coverage by Lee Bodden. He has answered the bell today, allowing Joe Barry to blitz more because he's getting coverage outside like that from Lee Bodden.
This is Cluey, and Cluey says, hey, forget trying to down it anymore. I'm just going to go ahead and sky it into the end zone, and he does. Touchback. The Boo Birds continuing here in Minnesota. You wouldn't think you'd hear Boo Birds after coming off of a huge win, like on Monday night against the New Orleans Saints, but that goes to show you in this league, you play bad, the home crowd's going to let you know.
Well, now listen, and if you're the Detroit Lions, let them keep booing. And I say that because I don't think you want to come out and be aggressive. Hand the ball off, run the clock out. There's 41 seconds. You got a quarterback in Dan Orlovsky who's starting for the first time. No reason to allow these Viking fans to get into the game. Don't give them anything to cheer for. Get into the locker room at 3-2, and you're feeling pretty good about yourself if you're the Lions.
Well, we've got a 1-point game. You can say that. 41 seconds left. 2 timeouts for Detroit. They keep it on the ground. That's Rudy Johnson. Williams is there.
Now the question is Brad Childress going to kind of try to stick him a little bit to him and take a timeout and force them to try to do something?
Doesn't look like.
Yeah, and I don't think you can with only 2 timeouts left and 20 seconds or less. Can't really do too much.
I would love to be a fly on the wall of this halftime.
How's that conversation? How's that pep talk going to be in the locker room for the Vikings?
I'll tell you how it's going to start. The door will shut. The clipboard will be thrown down. Now listen.
You can't say anything else. No, you can't say anything else, Ronnie. We're on TV.
And we're a 1-point game. Don't forget the Visa halftime report coming your way next here on Fox.
Welcome you to the Visa Halftime Report. Kurt Menefee along with Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy. And in the game you are watching right now, the Lions with a 3-2 lead at halftime, getting ready for the baseball playoffs tonight, I guess.
All right, good game. Chicago at Atlanta. Matt Ryan, the young rookie quarterback, having a sensational rookie year. Got his team at 3-2. Handing off to Michael Turner. Inside tackle, breaks outside, shows the power. 23-yard run. That led to a Falcons field goal. Falcons up 6-0. 9-3 is your score. Atlanta on top of the Bears. Carolina, Tampa Bay. Geno Hayes blocks the punt. Picks it up. 22 yards later, Jimmy, it's a touchdown. 7-0 Tampa Bay Bucks over the visiting Carolina Panthers. Then play action at